Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 Tournament Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 49. Simple thing. Right off the bat, we have incoming trade, 2 death gems from Vanheim. I think this completes the payoff. I'm pretty sure. I think it either completes the payoff or we actually accidentally got more than we were supposed to get. I'm not 100% sure, and yeah, it just is what it is. But I think this completes the payoff. So, moving on, we've got Research Construction 6. Finally. Okay, this is a big deal, right? So, Research Construction 6 gets us access to a number of different things, but namely, what we're looking at right now is lightless lanterns. Right? The idea that we can kind of take over our research needs for ourselves. We say that, but we're starting to get to the point to where we need to start forging Huaka headdresses, and our fire income is actually very, very bad. So that might come under fire sooner rather than later. But now that we have researched Construction 6, we get to do the run-up Conjuration, which I'm actually really looking forward to. We cast a Blood Fecundity. Very excited about that. Hopefully going to get some growth in our coastal throne city. That's going to be good for us, fingers crossed. Site searching. Augury, found nothing. Dark Knowledge, found nothing. Horror Specs, found a Grove of Fertility. Okay, cool. That's just a nature +1 site, and I think some... Didn't it have some... No. I was thinking it. There's one that's a nature +1 site and, like, does supplies or something like that, but that is not it. It's just nature +1. Snowcap Mountain. This is actually kind of a cool little scenario down here in Neeful. This is a +1 earth and +1 water gem. Neat. Arcane Probing found a Starlit Pond. That's just 1 astral. And our other augury found nothing. So our fire continues to be abysmal, but for site searching this turn, we found water +1, earth +1, astral +1, and nature +1. So that's pretty good. Four gems in a turn. I'm pretty excited about that. Alright, editing notes in a momento. Okay, moving on. What do we have? We have a battle in the Forgotten Woods. This is us throwing a shit ton of Hatenruna at this throne, just in the hopes, right? Like, all we're really actively trying to do here is kill off as much of this chaff as we can, right? So, turn on squares. Hatenruna will go up. Got a bunch of swarm casts. Oh, no. Well, we fucked that up. They were all supposed to just go up and come down at the same time. This group's gonna get obliterated. We did kill that leader in the back, looks like, at least. Are we gonna route before... Well, we killed the leader in the front. Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Okay. Well, okay, silver lining here. Silver lining. The monolith used some gems, but I found out recently that apparently indie mages will regenerate gems over time. We are going to keep hitting this relatively frequently until we whittle things down, probably. I don't know. Let's check how the results went. 119 Hatenruna. And we killed 1 Barbarian Chief, 1 Deer Tribe Shaman, and 1 Deer Tribe Archer, and 1 Deer Tribe Warrior. That's not quite what we were hoping for. I mean, it is nice that we got those 2 leaders, but we were definitely hoping for more of a dent into the Deer Tribe themselves. I think we might have done better had we not screwed up that drop and had the front and back drop at the same time, because then, I don't know, then we might have had more time to actually fight. Ultimately, though, this isn't a huge deal. We lose 119 Hatenruna. We didn't pay for them, right? Like, we didn't buy them. So, times... what we actually just gained was 19 gold per turn in income. That's what these Hatenruna are worth. By the way, is 19 gold. Cause right, they're 2 per turn. Yeah, they're 2 per year, right? So that's 119 times 2 divided by 12 is how much income they cost per turn. So those 119 guys cost us 19 gold per turn. So we just gained that. That's all that happened. We were just, I don't know. This is way worse than I thought we were gonna do. I thought we were gonna get like 5 to 10 of either of these groups. If we're probably gonna toss another big stack at this and see if coordinating, dropping at the same time, gets us more. And if it does, cool. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have to figure out different ways to do this, because I don't think we can feasibly send Hatenruna in to kill 4 at a time until there's only the Monolith and Watchers left. I don't think that will be a very viable strategy for us. So anyways, battles for the turn versus Indies, 0 wins and 1 loss. That was definitely not a ping. So okay, unfortunate there. What else do we got going on? We've got some unexpected... we do watch a battle in Ashdod. Let's see what happens here. Ashdod attacking Ulm, and it's just Ashdod pinging Ulm. Actually sets him to attack. Interesting. So there's that. Unexpected event in Pavonia. A famous circus has been touring in the province. This resulted in extra taxes in addition to the good luck that a circus always brings. Did not know that circuses brought good luck. That's good information to know. So we gained some gold and some luck in that province. And then Miratrand, a handful of magic gems were found under a huge rock. So we got some earth gems. So events for the turn, 0 negative, 2 positive. We got, in Pavonia, luck +2. We got 108 gold. And then we got earth +3 as far as gems go. Not a bad haul for the turn. Not like a, oh my god, so amazing haul. But perfectly fine. A little bit of patrolling, lack of supplies in Miratrand. We're starving out our Hatenruna. Actually, let's talk about that. I seriously did consider there for a while doing something like trying to set up a starvation point where you get so many Hatenruna in a location and they start to die off every turn from the massive amount of diseases. And then you can do things like, you could cast... What is it? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Might be thinking. Is it death instead? Did not think so. Raven Feast. Yeah. So you we're going up Conjuration, right? Like you can cast Raven Feast. And you can basically turn air gems into death gems. And if you have a lot of corpses, you can actually gain a fair amount of death gems off of this, right? So death gems gained from a province with 100 unburied corpses, 5. Death gems gained from a province with 400 unburied corpses, 10. This is something that I have been considering doing with our kind of idea of wanting to go up death into Well of Misery. This would mean probably doing something like throwing things out with our Frostfather, setting this up. The only thing is it does take a while to get going, and at the point to where I did this in a couple test games, to get to the point to where you have enough Hatenruna, that are actually dying en masse every turn, you actually have to have kind of an absurd amount of Hatenruna sitting in the province, to the point to where they do start to cost you. When you start to get upwards of 1,000 of Hatenruna, they do start to become problematic, right? Because so we looked at what happened with our losses here. We lost, 119. That's only 19 gold per turn. Cool, right? But 1,000 Hatenruna isn't 19 gold per turn, right? It's 166 gold per turn. So it's a bit rough as you start to get on your economy, and the fact that our economy is already pretty abysmal. So it's kind of a heavy choice, and 1,000 isn't even the mark to where it actually works, right? Like 1,000 starts to get you to where you can basically like exchange air gems for death gems, but you really need upwards of like 2,000, 3,000 to start killing off enough Hatenruna every single turn to really make bank on death gems. It is something that you can do, and I think it's a viable strategy for like a more scales-based Nazca, but I don't think that it is something that we will be able to do effectively right now. Maybe something that we could do later on in the game, right? Something that I could consider, depending on how some of our other strategies and plans kind of work out. But at this current point in time, I don't think that it is really going to be a viable strategy. So that's just random talking. What are we doing this turn? Well, I had expected to get a bit more oomph out of our attack on Forgotten Woods, but we're not. So I'm kind of trying to rethink what exactly can we do in this situation. We are probably going to toss at least one more stack of Hatenruna at Forgotten Woods, just to see if we can, with a coordinated drop, kill off a fair amount of the deer tribe. If we can, I think that will be useful. I'm also thinking about other opportunities, like what else can we do? And I've got a couple of ideas, right? So one of the things that we could do is we could try to do some earthquake action. This isn't going to do anything against the Watchers, obviously, right? But we could move in like Nista Runa, who has a high amount of earth magic. We can move her in and do some like earthquake action, and try to take out as many of the deer tribe as we can. Probably in coordination with something like a stack of Hatenruna, or maybe even an actual army. And then there's the idea of, fixing up a thug, maybe even something like our werewolf or something like that, to have like smashers. So a couple of different ideas that we're kind of playing around with, but nothing that we're ready to do immediately this turn. So we're kind of just taking a bye on this turn. We're moving people around, re-coordinating efforts, and focusing in on doing some other things for now. So not a whole lot of action this turn. From a greater, wider world scenario, the only thing to really talk about is that we've kind of just really left Niflheim in the lurch here. They've got some forts under siege. Vanheim has some forts under siege on Niflheim. Niflheim is Niflheim, Jotunheim, not Niflheim. Right? Jotunheim. Why am I saying Niflheim? Sorry. Jotunheim has been doing very well, considering the circumstances. But we've kind of, by we I mean Ulm and I have kind of left them out to dry. And I think at this point, it's at this point in the game where I really, honestly, and truly realize that Ulm does not plan to really engage, or isn't being the the hammer or the anvil for Vanheim, right? Or for Jotunheim, I guess. So it's at this point to where I think in the game where I basically make that statement of like, all right, well, that did not turn out the way that I had hoped it was going to turn out, that I had planned. Fuck. What do we do now? And I had like a legit like sit down with myself thinking, okay, because it's not gonna be good if Van just becomes, you know, a big right. The whole point of us attacking was, one, we didn't really have a whole lot of other options, but two, we were trying to prevent Van from, we wanted to grow, we wanted to prevent Van from being a big 2-cat fan, right? Well, we just took some of Van's gains with the whole Ashdod scenario and then provided them an opportunity to become another 2-cat fan. So I think it is at this point, right, that I kind of start kicking up conversations with Ulm again on, hey, look, what's gonna happen here? Are we going to fight Vanheim? And I am hoping that some sort of traction is going to happen in the next couple turns. The problem is we still have our back alley deal with Van, right? And that includes a 6-turn nap. So I am in the process of trying to start. One, I don't want to get into a fight until we kind of like secure our border with Pelagia, because I think if we get in the fight with Van, what's going to happen is, one, Van's going to kick our ass, but two, Pelagia is going to have a very easy opportunity to just come out of the water at us, right? Although they are a little busy coming out of the water over here in various little points. So yeah, we're kind of in a weird spot, right? I do think with the performance that the Jotunheim player put up, which is Grippa, right? Grippa has done a great job fighting against a superior foe. I still think that our call was the correct one. I think had we not made a deal with Vanheim, I think Vanheim would have focused us and destroyed us, right? So I do still think that our deal was correct. I do not feel remorseful about that. I feel remorseful about the rest of the plan not falling into place, right? Because I do think with the performance that Jotunheim has put up against Vanheim, had Ulm actually fought against Vanheim, I do think that they would have won, right? I think Vanheim would have fallen to Ulm and Jotunheim, and the original plan that I had, right? Like this idea that Jotunheim and Ulm are able to slowly grind down Vanheim, and then eventually me having a peace agreement with Vanheim doesn't matter, and I'm able to like pick off a couple of like minor border holdings and go from there. I think that plan had merit, honestly. I did not anticipate the I made a greedy play there. I made a greedy decision, but so did Ulm, right? So I did not anticipate that idea that Ulm was just as much going to look around for free territory as I was. So unfortunate, and now I've got to live with the consequences of my actions. So now I have to figure out what the fuck is going to happen from here on, right? And I think what that ends up being, what that is gonna have to be, right? Because the option is now it's water or Vanheim, or I guess like turning on Ulm. But either turning on Ulm or Vanheim means coordinating with the other, right? Like, because there's no way I can fight Ulm on my own. There's no way I can fight Vanheim on my own. So I think that's the situation. Maybe this happens in time for Jotunheim to not die, but that seems unlikely currently. I'm trying to get more scouts over here so we can actually see what's going on, because there's been some cool battles, apparently. Grippa's been posting screenshots and things like that here or there. And there's some pretty cool shit going on, but I have not been able to witness very much of it. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about actual mechanical things this turn. We are turn 50. We've got a bit of recruitment coming up. So gonna take a look at things. We got recruitment for the turn: 2 Akla, 1 Inca, 1 Pakwo of the Mountain Spirits, 1 Hydromancer, 1 Malqui Priest, and 5 Sun Guards. So actually quite a bit of recruitment for us this turn. We are at the point to where I think it is very unlikely that we will be spending any more gold on troops other than Sun Guard or maybe Condor Warriors if we're really wanting. Probably just Sun Guard for the rest of the game. There's the possibility that we find something somewhere eventually and we're like, oh yeah, let's recruit these things. Or that we get into a situation where we're like, we really need to recruit something because of XYZ. But from a general game plan, I don't think we'll be recruiting regular troops anymore. All of our gold, all of our income is going to go into infrastructure and commanders from here on out, right? And part of the reason why is because we're approaching that point where we're gonna have more Supaya generated, right? We're going to start doing things with Conjuration 5 where we do summon Supayas, summon Huacas, things like that. And we're getting to the point to where we're starting to generate actual amounts of undead chaff. So, no more spending money on our very small amount of money on troops, only on commanders and infrastructure, and on Sun Guards, because Sun Guard don't count. Sun Guard are good enough that we want to scale. We want to take them to the end of the game, basically. So, so yeah, that's that. Nazcan recruits. We've got 36 Hatenruna this turn, 56 Long Dead Warriors coming in this turn, and 3 Supaya coming in this turn. So we're actually, for the first time in a very long time, we are ticking up the amount of Supaya that we are producing. And I'm hoping to do this, not next turn, but maybe the... No. It should be next turn. Yeah, next turn. So we've got QC, the 1 Royal Malqui that we have. We're gonna throw. We're making another Huaca headdress, so we're gonna throw that. So next turn we should be producing 6 Supaya. So, and after that we're probably gonna start. We've got this Inca on the way, but we're probably gonna start producing more Malquis whenever we get the chance to do more Supayas. We want to aim for that kind of goal of, you know, around 20 to 30 Supaya per turn, and try to scale that up as best we can. But that's going to be very difficult for us because our income is shot to shit, right? But still, that is a vast improvement from where we were 20 turns ago, right? We are actually starting to produce some of the things that we need to be able to scale into the late game and be somewhat of a threat. 56 Long Dead Warriors is not a crazy amount, especially considering they're spread all over the place. They're actually like 14 in location. But if we can get upwards of 100, 200, right? Like we get to that point, and that's a serious amount of chaff generated every single turn, right? Like that's a big deal. That is going to matter if we can get to that point. Aside from that, we still have special recruits. We've got our dire wolves recruiting every single turn, which is silly, but I don't know. I say this every single time. It's probably not much of a point to report them, but you know, it's interesting. I wish there was more site-specific recruitment stuff, options, like the giant spiders, or the dire wolves, or the water elementals, or the yetis, or things like that. Some of those are actually useful, but most of them are actually very not useful. Like these dire wolves are probably never going to be useful, but it's cool. I think it's neat, you know? So it be what it be. We have a whole host of rituals coming on this turn. So let's just go down the list. I say a whole host. Most of them are just site searching. We've got 1 Augury, 1 Auspex, 1 Gnome Lore, 1 Arcane Probing, 1 Dark Knowledge, 1 Haruspex, and 1 trade wind for 30 turns. So up here in Olifa, we are doing a trade wind for 30 turns, so 40 air gems in total, which is a hefty commitment, by the way. But I do think it's going to be worthwhile. We're getting 182 gold here in Olifa next turn, or this turn. No, that's 182 gold is the treasury that I have. Ignore me. I'm having a brain aneurysm. We have 230 income in Olifa. This is probably going to jump up. This goes up 25% from trade wins. So this is going to go up to almost 300 income. An extra 70 plus income per turn for 30 turns, and it'll actually scale. It'll grow a bit right as our growth goes up in Olifa. That's a 40 gems is a big investment, but I think that's actually absolutely going to be worthwhile, right? I think we will be happy looking back on the amount of gold that we got out of this. That's going to be a very big deal. So just as a base, if we use 70 as a base, that's 2,100 gold over the course of 30 turns, right? That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's, you know, that's, what? 2.5 Royal Malquis, right? Or that's, you know, 7 or 8 Huron Priests or something like that, right? You know, it matters. It absolutely matters. That's probably actually more Huron Priests. It's like 10 plus Huron Priests. So that's a big deal for us, right? And like I said, that's 70 is just the kind of like base kind of concept. It will scale. That's going to be pretty useful. What else do we have going on? We have some forging this turn in a couple of different locations. Forging Lightless Lantern, we are forging a Dwarven Hammer, and we are forging 1 Huaka Headdress. So that stuff is pretty basic. We've already talked a little bit about most of that. We're going to have a Lightless Lantern every turn, probably, for the foreseeable future. We're going to be producing Akla, right? Like recruiting an Akla almost every turn, and producing a Lightless Lantern almost every turn, with the idea of scaling up to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 kind of RP. We are very, very, very behind the curve, but if we can start breaking into some 7s, some 8s over the course of the next 10 to 15 turns, right? Then that will actually matter. You know, it's a pretty big deal. And if we're doing 1 per turn, what are we getting there? 1 per turn for, say, 20 turns. That's 240 additional RP overall, right? But also, if we have, for instance, an Akla coming in, so they're at 6, right? If we have another 20 Aklas, that's another 120, right? So that's 360 RP over the course of the next 20 turns. That's a pretty big deal, considering we barely even have that amount as is, right? So, and obviously we would prefer to produce more than that, right? But the amount of fire gems we have at the moment is not really sustainable. So hopefully our auguries will find us some more fire gems, and we'll be able to produce more Lightless Lanterns than 1 per turn, and that will actually do a pretty big deal for us. And then obviously, right, like, so I was just talking about the total amount, or not the total amount, but the amount that we're getting per turn. 240 per turn doesn't sound like much, but if we're doing, so that's for 20 turns, we're also each turn making up more of that, to the point to where we're scaling into the thousands on how much we have generated over the course of time, right? So Lightless Lanterns, very, very good investment for the overall furthering of your regions. So yeah, that is that. And then the Huaka Headdress, I think, is the only other really interesting thing. This Huaka Headdress is going to go on Kusi, like we mentioned earlier. It's gonna we're gonna stop researching with this Malqui and start calling Supayas. There'll be another 3 Supayas, and we're going to be looking for opportunities to do more Royal Malquis every chance we get. So, got that going on. Last but not least, we have some outgoing trade. We are sending Arcocephale 50 water gems, which is a shit ton of gems. But we're not really using water gems right now. We are not using water gems right now, and we already have a water income of 5. We have our first Hydromancer out this turn, by the way, and we are sending them immediately to our capital, where they will probably sit and site search, doing Voice of Apsu for the foreseeable future. And since we already have enough income for a Voice of Apsu cast every single turn, right, then I saw no reason not to, because even after, right, we want to site search our whole territory for water, but even after that, right, like, a big water bank might not really matter to us. It definitely doesn't matter to us in the next 10 turns, probably, right? So, what we are getting in return is a bunch of air and astral gems, I believe. Air gems just because that's partially what Arcocephale had, and astral gems because we're probably going to make some dispel attempts here in the very near future, targeting things coming from Vanheim, basically. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that is going to be the end of our video, I think, because that's pretty much all that's going on. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.